AITAH for repeating what my BL said about my sons and getting him uninvited from Thanksgiving. 35M here. I'm a husband and father of 5-year-old identical twin boys. Our boys are adorable and sweet, but are definitely high energy, and keep us on our toes. My wife is pregnant with our third, and last, child, and we recently found out we're having a girl. My wife is an incredible mom, but she had a hard childhood. Her father sexually abused her and eventually went to prison for it. My wife isn't estranged from her mom, but she's not particularly close with her either. My wife cares a lot that our children are safe and happy after the childhood she endured. She absolutely adores our sons, and has never once seen them as anything other than her sweet babies. My older sister, 38F, has 2 daughters and is married to a dude named Sean. I love my sister, but her husband can be a jerk, and often makes rude comments without thinking about their impact. My wife doesn't like to talk about her abuse, but my family knows what happened, since it's a huge part of her family's history and her mom is pretty vocal about her ex-husband. My parents, sister, and brother have never expressed anything other than support for my wife and sadness that she had that experience, but Sean has made some odd comments. I never told my wife this, but before we got married, he said I was a good man for sticking with a girl with that much baggage. Anyways, last night, we went to my sister and Sean's house for dinner. My wife was in a great mood and was excited to share that we're having a little girl. My sister was thrilled and congratulated us. Sean said congratulations, but then mentioned he's relieved we're not having another boy. I asked what he meant, and Sean said the risk of a girl turning out the wrong way is much lower. Again, I asked him to clarify. He proceeded to ask my wife if she ever worried she would pass her family's sexual problems down to our kids. My wife was shocked and horrified, and said what her father did has nothing to do with our children. Sean said that the issues her father had are genetic, and so statistically, we're more likely to have boys with the same problem. My wife asked how he could possibly look at our sweet, innocent boys and worry that they'll grow into monsters. Sean said that her father was a sweet, innocent boy once too, and he still molested her. My wife stated sobbing and I was in complete shock. My sister said that Sean was being insensitive, but maintained that he was technically right. She said they didn't think our kids would turn out like their grandfather, but it's something to watch for, just in case. I wanted to punch Sean in that moment, but my wife begged me to just get the boys and go. My wife cried the whole drive home. I told my wife that our kids are not going to be like her father, and she said she knows, but it's hard to know family members would judge innocent children because of something their grandfather did. My wife and I were talking about it more, and we realized that Sean has always been a bit weird towards our kids. He gets agitated when they're energetic and seems overprotective of his girls around them. For example, once, the kids were all having a pillow fight and one of my sons accidentally hit one of his female cousins in the eye. He apologized, cried because he hurt her, and gave her a big hug. My BL yelled at my son and said he was being aggressive towards his daughter. Everyone thought the reaction was overblown at the time since it was clearly an accident, but now, I wonder if he reacted that way because he's expecting my sons to turn out the wrong way. I called my mother this morning and explained the entire conversation. My mom was horrified, and agreed that what my BL said was insane and unacceptable. I told my mom that my wife is pregnant and doesn't need any additional stress, so if my SIL and BIL are going to be at Thanksgiving, we'll be celebrating on our own. My mom is very upset about what Sean said about her grandkids, and she agrees that he shouldn't be at Thanksgiving this year. I got a call from my sister an hour ago, and she's furious. She says her husband was just voicing a concern, especially since they have daughters, and we took it the wrong way. She also said that her daughters want to see their grandparents on Thanksgiving, and they're being punished for what their dad said. I said that my boys were being judged based on their genetic relationship to a man they've never even met. My sister asked if I'd call our mom and ask her to reconsider, and I said absolutely not. AITAH. Story 2. AITAH for cutting off my sister and telling her she's no longer welcome in my house after threatening to sue me. So I, 26F, have a sister, 31F, let's call her Jane. Jane is not my bio sister, but we grew up in the same household. For as long as I can remember, Jane has had this victim mentality. Mom died when she was young, Dad was never in the picture, but my mom, her aunt/godmother, took her in. She lived with us for 13 years before she got married and moved to Idaho with her husband. We never had the best relationship growing up, but I assumed it was just sibling rivalry and we would grow out of it like me and my baby sister, 25F. My mom passed away in 2020 and Jane thought it was only right that she inherit my mom's engagement ring, even after declaring at the funeral that my mom was not her mom, just a woman who helped raise her. I then moved back into my parents' home because I felt bad for my dad and didn't want him to be alone. After converting the top floor of our 3-story home into a mini apartment for myself, Jane raised concerns that there would be no space for her to come home to during Christmases. But we made do. My dad recently paid off the home and signed the deed over to me under the condition that he live there rent-free until he dies, since I had been helping him pay the mortgage and would continue to pay the taxes on the home. I dismantled the apartment on the 3rd floor, making it once again a 5-bedroom home. However, 2 of the bedrooms my sisters used to occupy are now a walk-in closet and a room for my dogs. I added a pool, a new bathroom, renovated the kitchen and turned the basement into a bar lounge area. Once this was completed, Jane asked me how we would split the sale of the home. I was confused as to what she meant. I was not selling my home. She stated that since my dad paid it off, that when he died that house would go to all of us and we should just get ahead and sell the property now. I told her I was not selling and that my dad signed it over to me. She then said she would call someone to appraise the home and I would then have to buy her and my little sister out. When I told her again that I owned the home, I was not selling and she wasn't getting any money, she threatened to sue me. I told her to leave. A few weeks later she called my dad to ask what the plans were for Christmas and if I was going to be staying in a hotel, since I could not be cordial. My dad told her I would not be staying in a hotel, but she was still welcome to come and stay with us. I politely informed him that she nor her family were welcome to stay, and if he needed to stay with her over the holidays he could also stay in a hotel. Now she's called my whole family and gone on a campaign of how evil I am for doing this over the holidays. Most of my family agrees with her except a few who do not want to be involved, saying that she only said she'd sue me out of anger after realizing something else was taken from her. Her mom, her dad, my mom, now her childhood home, which leads me to believe that maybe they are right. Am I being too harsh on her after all her struggles in life, or is she simply just a bitch? Edit. Little sis is fine, please stop worrying about her, she's not a problem, hence why I did not list everything she got from our mom or our dad. Update. I suggested my dad stay in a hotel with Jane because he was insistent that she spend Christmas with him. I didn't say he couldn't live with me anymore. I don't think it's unreasonable to not want to be around someone who wanted to sue and may still try. I also got the engagement ring. I thought it was crazy that someone declared that's not my mom but wanted her ring that my dad bought. Also, little sis got the wedding bands. Dad also gave Jane significant amounts of money to open her own bakery. Little sis took over his business. I got the home, and the retirement and life insurance will be split in 3 when, if, he passes, cause he can't die, tbh.